How y'all doing today? Welcome to the Tea Factory podcast. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you to taking some time out of your day to listen to this recap review of the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16 episode 11 review. Just to go over housekeeping. Section 107 of the Copyright Act says that there is allowance for fair use of copyright material for such purposes as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research as examples of activities that may qualify as fair use. Please subscribe to the channel, comment, and like. We'd greatly appreciate it if you would take your time to just subscribe. So today we're going to review episode 11. Episode 11 of season 16 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta opens up with Angela and Charles Oakley going to eat at a restaurant. They're chilling. They're talking about Charles's basketball's I guess he's coaching. He's retired, so he has, she was saying he has car wash shops in New York State, and then he does basketball coaching in different leagues, like a minor league. And then, they're sitting down talking about she's telling him about her mom, and, they're talking about her sister, just trying to catch up and having a conversation. And then Charles does a confessional. So they're sitting together doing a confessional, and they're arguing in their confessional scene. Actually, before they show the confessional scene, as they're talking or whatever, Angela asks him for a kiss, and he's, hesitant, acting like he didn't want to give her a kiss. And then in the confessional, the producer asked him, do you love your wife? Because some people say you don't love your wife. Because he's not affectionate towards her. He doesn't really show her a lot of love and affection. And when she asked for a kiss, it was almost like forced. He didn't want to do it. So when the producer asked him that question, he really didn't even answer yes or no. And then Angela jumps in. She's asking you that because people assume, or they say that you don't love me. I feel like Charles obviously loves his wife, because obviously they wouldn't be married and they wouldn't been together all these years. Obviously he loves her, but he's not an affectionate person, and also he's not lovey-dovey, and he doesn't come across as touchy, lovey-dovey, and kissing and doing all that in public. I mean, he's old school, so so the scene was just basically them hanging out together and talking about their family issues. And I used to think, the first couple scenes, I used to think that he didn't like her. I was like, dang, Charles does not like his wife. But I don't think that anymore. We're on episode 11 now. I don't think that anymore. I think that Charles does love Angela Oakley. They've been married all these years. You can tell that they are like best friends from the conversations that they have and the way their relationship is. So I do feel that he does love his wife. So I don't think like I used to before. So that's good. My point of view has changed. So the next scene is Cynthia and Shamea meeting up to talk about what happened at the Pamper by Porsha. So basically, Shamea is telling her that she wasn't able to sleep, and she was still thinking about what happened at Pampered by Porsha, and then how she just felt like Porsha should have came to her, and it was weird how Angela's version and Kelly's version of the story. And to be honest, like I said on the other video, Angela and Kelly, they did put a little bit of sauce in it. They did a little bit exaggerate and make it seem like more than it really was. I mean, basically, but Porsha's going through a lot, and she just haven't had the time to sit down. At the time, she hadn't had the time to sit down and talk to Shamea about it. So so then Cynthia in her confessional, she's talking about her relationship with Nene. She said, Porsha and Shamea's relationship reminds her of her relationship with Nene, and how her and Nene used to have disagreements on the show, and how people used to come between her and Nene. So y'all remember when Cynthia wrote Nene that friendship contract, the friendship contract? That was funny. But that was Cynthia being sincere. So Cynthia was Shamea and Nene is Porsha. And I agree with Cynthia. This relationship dynamic of Shamea and Porsha, it does remind me of Cynthia and Nene's friendship. And then Shamea shares with Cynthia that Shamea's mom and Porsha's mom used to be friends. And you can tell that Shamea and Porsha, friendship started because their mothers used to be friends. That's how they know each other. And that's how they know each other since they were kids, and how they became friends since high school. And Shamea, even in her confessional, called Miss Diane Auntie Diane. So, there's deep-rooted ties there. And then if there's any beef or drama, it's between their mothers, and it has spilled over to Porsha and Shamea. So it's kind of starting to make sense now. And I believe that Porsha and Shamea do have a beautiful relationship because they know each other really well, and they finish each other's sentence, and they clown and have a kiki together. And I agree with Cynthia. They are yin and yin. They are. So everything Cynthia said, I agree with her. Cynthia, honey, she's older and wiser. Okay. So the next scene, they have Kelly at her restaurant in the kitchen with one of her chefs. And then the next scene, they show Britt picking something out to wear, trying to pick something out to wear to a wedding that she's going to go to in Napa Valley. And then it's like a quick little scenes. And then the next scene is Shamea in the studio with her sisters. And then they show her sisters and one of Shamea's friends in the studio talking. And I thought it was funny when one of her sisters says, they're talking about their relationship with Shamea and Porsha's relationship. And the sister says, we've noticed for a while that it's been going sideways for a long time. But the way she said, I thought it was country and cute. But yeah, they've been, it's been going sideways for a long time. Everybody's noticed it. But I think it's mainly because Porsha's been going through a lot with Simon. Next scene is Porsha, Cynthia, and Angela. They meet up to go bowling. And Cynthia, they all look cute. First of all, Porsha looks really cute with that jumper outfit. Her body's tea. Okay. Cynthia looks beautiful. As always, she's Cynthia Bailey. So Angela looks nice too. She's, dresses like a teenager because she wears a lot of crop tops. But Angela dresses nice as well. She's has a crop top with some jeans. And then Cynthia says that Porsha and Angela both have booties. So she starts talking about Porsha's booty. And I'm like, okay, calm down. You're giving a little bit of a lesbian vibe there, Miss Cynthia. If that's what she likes, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And then they start bowling. Angela was funny because they're playing bowling, and Angela tells Porsha, don't give me the old ball. And then Porsha says, I thought you liked old balls. I thought that was funny. I like how they throw shade. Porsha is funny. She throws shade and then, can bounce off what somebody says. And then Angela's funny too, because Angela's quick with her shade as well. So I thought that was a cute scene right there. And then Porsha shares with them that PJ misses Simon, and that she was, she's been asking about him, like, where's Pop-Up? And then she said that she texted Simon and he did not reply. He left them on red. And, Simon's just being a jerk right now. He's been a jerk, and he could have, replied, but he he doesn't want to make Porsha happy in any way, shape, or form. And then Porsha starts talking about her relationship with Shamea and what happened at the Pampered by Porsha. And she just says right now, she's going to talk to her eventually, but she doesn't have the strength. Whatever is going on between them, which is really nothing. I mean, it's just a misunderstanding. And then Porsha just needs to stop being so dismissive of Shamea. But, she says she's going a lot through the divorce with Simon, so she doesn't have the emotional strength to talk to Shamea about what might be bothering Shamea. The next scene, they show Drew in her Uber car. She's calling her mom, telling her about Ralph and what Ralph is trying to do. Ralph is trying to take ownership. I think she said either half of her business. I mean, Ralph is just trifling. The mama called him trifling. He is trifling. And then, Drew said that Ralph locked her out of the house and trying to take half of her businesses. Ralph is just trifling, and this is a messy divorce. I do feel sorry for Drew in that regard, with what Ralph has taken her through. The next scene is Angela at her house. Her mom comes over. Comes over and they sit down and they're having a conversation about, Angela had bought them a house. So the mom was like, they moved out of that house. She's got her own place. I don't know. I kind of feel like the mom felt like she had to get her own separate place because of the drama between her and Charles. But Angela seemed like she was surprised that they wanted to move. She wants to take care of her mom, and she doesn't want her mom to have to worry about anything. So Angela was a little bit offended that her mom did not keep or stay in that house that she bought her. And then, her mom tells her about the drama with her and Charles. And she expresses how much she really does love Charles, which is her son-in-law. At the end of the day, every family has drama, We all have family dramas. Sometimes blood is not always thicker than water. And then at the end, they hug. Angela and her mom, they hug and they tell each other they love each other. And I thought that was a beautiful scene there with Angela and her mom. We got to meet her mom. So the next scene is Kelly trying to teach her daughter how to drive. Oh my goodness. I was nervous for Kelly in this scene, y'all, because first of all, why is the daughter driving a big ass truck? She's driving a Suburban or a Tahoe or something of that nature. I think that truck was too big for that little girl to be driving. And then she didn't have both hands on the steering wheel. And she just wasn't attentive. And Kelly was scared. I don't blame Kelly. I was scared for her. So she said she doesn't have the patience to try to teach her daughter how to drive. And she should have just sent her daughter to driving school. That's what she should have did. And then they start talking about the opening of another location of her Nana's Chicken and Waffle. And it's going to be in Sandy Springs, which is, a suburb part of Atlanta. It's just, it's a nice area. So Sandy Springs is a nice part of town. There are some celebrities that live there. I think I think the Chateau is in Sandy Springs, and I think Kenya lives in Sandy Springs too. But Sandy Springs is a nice area. So she's saying that she's trying to open that location, and I can't wait till she opens that location because I'm going to go check it out, and I am going to report back and probably have some pictures and probably some videos for you all. I can't wait till I can do that. I have been to her first location. Her first location was in Conyers, outside of the city. That one was kind of like a hole in the wall. It was a small location. Parking was very limited. Parking was very small. And then they had the nerve to have a VIP for parking, and they charged you like $20 for parking. And that is one thing I cannot stand about Atlanta restaurants, especially the black-owned restaurants. Y'all, I need to have a different video for that because it's a thing. It's a thing in Atlanta. These restaurants, especially the black-owned restaurants, they will charge you VIP parking $20. And they don't even own the parking space or the parking spot. Half of the time it's in a strip mall. You know, they don't even own the space and have the nerves to try to charge you. But that's what she did. So her location, it was a small location. You know, the food was okay. You know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't the greatest, but it was cool. And so hopefully this location is going to be cute and classy, and hopefully she doesn't try to charge again for parking. And so I will report back on that. So next scene, we have Drew and her mother sitting down talking at Drew's house. Drew states that it's been 2 years since the divorce process has started, and I can't believe that it's already been 2 years. Like, good Lord, has it really been 2 years? My goodness, time really does fly. So then Drew and her mom are sitting there talking about the divorce situation. Her mom shares with her that the kids are not listening to her anymore. She's always having to tell them, get down, stop jumping on the furniture, stop doing this, stop doing that, get down. She said she can't get them to listen to her. And she said when kids don't listen to her, it's a problem, because oftentimes kids are obedient and they listen to her. I mean, she's an elderly woman. So then Drew starts crying, and she's like, oh, I didn't know that the kids were hurting, or, you know, or the kids weren't listening, or the kids were being bad. She didn't know. She said she didn't know, and she was upset, and she starts crying. But my thing is, how did you not know? Maybe you didn't know because you were out chasing, you know, Ty. You know, supposedly, allegedly, her and Ty had a relationship, so she was too busy chasing after Ty. She was too busy going in the studios trying to make this album, too busy filming for the show. Whatever it was that she was doing, she didn't have time to pay attention to what the hell that her kids were doing. And, you know, they probably have nannies or the chef or her mom, other people taking care of the kids. So, and kids are not stupid. They know that her and Ralph is going through a divorce. They're not stupid. They can see that the parents are not interacting like they used to interact, and they can see that he's spending a lot more time in the basement than upstairs with them. So they're not stupid. I'm sure they can put two and two together and figure out that there's a problem in the marriage and in the household. But Drew likes to live in La La Land, and she likes to assume that the kids don't know what's really going on. But I disagree with her. Okay, nevertheless, moving along. Hopefully what her mama shared with her will kind of make her open up her eyes to realize that her kids do know. Next scene, we have Porsha and Shamea meeting to talk at a restaurant to hash things out. Porsha's already there sitting down, and then Shamea comes in. She sits down, and Porsha asked the girl the waitress, if they could have an extra chair to sit their purses on, because they had them sit in the middle of the restaurant in the small, the table was small. So it was a small table, 2-seater, and I thought it was tacky. Like, they could have had them sitting somewhere else. I don't know. I've never been to that restaurant before, so I don't know what it looks like on the inside. But the table they had them sitting on was small, and it wasn't enough space for their purses and everything else that was already on the table. So Porsha asked for a chair for the purses. And so then before they can even get started, Porsha receives a phone call from her mother, Miss Diane. And then Shamea was like trying to start talking already, and then Porsha gets the phone call, and Shamea's like rolling her eyes. See, this is what I mean. Like, this is the problem, you know. So Shamea's like trying to go in, right? Like, head in. She's trying to let Porsha know, look, we need to talk. I don't like the space that we're in. I don't like the place that we're in our friendship, you know, and we're friends. There's nothing that you can't come to me about. If you have an issue, if you have a problem, you should be able to come to me and talk to me about it, and we should be able to hash it out and, you know, kiss and make up and go on about our business. But the fact that Kelly had to say something to Shamea and Angela had to say something to Porsha, that doesn't sit well with Shamea, And so Shamea's like trying to talk and just go all the way in. And Portia's like really still not trying to talk, still not trying to iron things out. And then Porsha tells Shamea, like, okay, you can go first because, you got this extra energy. And Shamea did have extra energy. Like, she's like, you know what, the shit gonna get handled today, okay, one way or another. She did give off that energy. And Porsha gave off the energy of this meek, sad puppy. I don't know. Like, the energy was weird to me because Porsha was giving off like she was like this meek little puppy in the corner that was just hurting her in pain, and she just was like, she didn't want to talk about it and didn't want to address anything. And she's like, Shamea, please, like, I don't want to talk about it. I have a lot going on. The marriage, the divorce is stressing me out, and I don't want to have to take this on as well. And then Shamea's like, no, I want my friend Porsha off camera. I want that same friend on camera. And then Shamea says something about Porsha said that they're gonna have to pay her more, or how much more would they pay her for her to pretty much like play the real life character on the episode. Like, it was really stupid. Like, no, basically she's trying to say, like, because Shamea's like, I want my off camera friend on camera, and Porsha says something about, well, they would have to pay her more. That was shady if Porsha did say that. That wasn't cute, Porsha. I don't know, Porsha, honey, because this, Lord have mercy, this season you just been showing out. So then, Shamea, like, still trying to talk to her, like, trying to get it out of her. And Porsha's like, please stop. And she starts crying and goes off. Like, and Shamea's just trying to get her to have the tough conversation of their relationship. Like, what is going on with us? I feel this way. Why do you feel the way you do? Let's talk about it. Let's have a real conversation. Hello, Carlos. So that's all she was saying, but Porsha didn't want to talk. So then she gets up, she leaves, goes to the bathroom. When she comes back, she asks the girl to bag up their food. She's like, she wants to take the food to go, and the lady, takes their plates and comes back with it in a to-go boxes. Shamea shares with Porsha that she doesn't want to be dismissed. She doesn't want Porsha to treat her how she's been treating her, dismiss her feelings, and she wants to work on their friendship. And then Porsha says, she doesn't want to break up with Shamea. She's like, Shamea, I don't want to break up with you. I don't want our relationship to break up. And I believe she doesn't. I believe Porsha does not want to break up her relationship with Shamea. I think that Porsha does not know how to navigate her feelings right now because of what she's going through with Simon, and that's what she said. So they were able to resolve, and they were able to hug it out. They hugged and they made up, and I think that they're still best friends. They just, maybe it's just a show, or maybe it's just acting for the show. So they leave the restaurant in a happier space that they came in. They start complimenting each other. Porsha, talks about Shamea's how her booty looks in those jeans, and so they kissed and made up and hugged. That was the end of that. They left. So that was the end of that episode 11. I hope I did a decent of the review. I kind of feel like I didn't, but I hope y'all enjoyed this review. Thank you for stopping by and watching this review of episode 11, season 16, episode 11, the Tea Factory podcast. Please subscribe, comment, and like. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.